Think I'm live now. Okay. Welcome to another one of our LinkedIn live events. And today's topic is going to be understanding and overcoming career dissatisfaction. So, before I start, I'll just quickly see if we are doing fine internet wise, and then we will begin. And if you're someone who's attending this live for the very first time, you can ask me as many questions as you want while this live is going on because I do check my phone. Or if you are attending this probably as a recording on YouTube, then you can just put down any questions that you have in the comment section, or you're very welcome to join us my free community called the Safe Space. So therein you can just reach out to me directly on WhatsApp too. Okay, let's see how are we doing. All right, great. I think we are live. Now, let's not waste any more time and let's get into it because today we have a lot to discuss. Now, when we talk about career dissatisfaction, what do I really mean by this, right? Now, dissatisfaction means different things to different people, right? And specifically when it comes to career dissatisfaction, it's pretty personal because your career is very personal, and that is why you and I, right, no matter whether even if our definition for dissatisfaction could be similar or same, um, we may perceive it very different internally because again, we value different things in life, right? You value different things, I value different things. So similarly, dissatisfaction would mean different things to different people. However, if we go by a common definition of dissatisfaction, which probably almost all of us would agree with, is that we don't really feel content with what we have in our career, or we don't really feel content with whatever is going on in our career. That is what career dissatisfaction is really like, right? Now, what could be the reason you're dissatisfied? That is a discussion that we're going to have further in. But before that, I first want to talk about um, visible and invisible, or aware or unaware ways you can identify that you are actually feeling dissatisfied. Because the thing is that the skill of building a career is something that determines our entire life. I mean, if you really go and meet somebody new, the first thing they will ask you is your name, and the second thing they will ask you is what do you do. Yet, it is a skill that was not taught to us, right? So nobody really taught to us as to how to design a career path for ourselves, how to actually think about our career, how to actually decide that, you know what, this means that I'm happy, and this means that I'm not happy, or this means that I should aim for more, and this means that I'm content. Like, nobody really taught us that, right? We all were just pushed into an education system. We did our degrees, we got our first job, and then everybody just assumes that we will figure things out. And that is why, as a result of it, we have generations and generations of people who have a lot of regrets in their professional life, because again, everybody was just winging it, right? No matter how confident that but uncle is in your family, or your own parents, nobody really, created a structure in their career. And as a result, if you ever feel that you don't know what you're doing in your career, it's very normal, because nobody really taught us that. And if you're somebody who actually wants to learn how to design a career path for yourself, I'm actually doing a fantastic 3-day masterclass on it next month on 13th, 14th, and 15th of March. It's called Unblock the Career Design Masterclass. And in this entire 3-day experience, we are going to understand how to actually design a career path for yourself, how to actually make sure that we are transitioning it sustainably, what could be the blocks that are stopping us, and how to overcome those blocks, right? So it's going to be a beautiful, expansive discussion. So if you're somebody who does not like to, you know, constantly seek out meaningless advices about career outside, and you actually want to go inwards and you want to learn how to design it for yourself, you're very welcome to join us, right? You can find the link for it in the feature section of my profile, or you can just DM me unblocked, and I'll be happy to send it to you. Now, coming back to the topic as I was talking about, that we don't really know, right? What do we want? I mean, most of the times our careers are just very random. And that is why it can be very hard to kind of identify that, am I really dissatisfied or not? Because dissatisfaction in career does not mean that it is very loud, or does not mean that your workplace is toxic, or that you're struggling, right? We tend to think that if something's really, really bad, that is when we're going to change it. That is not what dissatisfaction is. I mean, you could be in a dissatisfied friendship, and yet your friend could be somebody who's very decent. You could have a very unfulfilling relationship with your partner, and yet your partner may not really be toxic, right? As such. So, dissatisfaction has nothing to do with something has to be really, really bad, right? So, I want to talk about a few signs here. The first I want to talk about is the aware and visible signs. So, aware and visible signs means that you are somewhere at least aware that something is not working right in my career. Like, I am dissatisfied, something is not feeling good, right? So, there is an internal chatter, there is an internal voice, right? That's an aware and visible form of dissatisfaction. Another point in this category is that you have tried to change some things, like maybe you have tried to change teams in your office, maybe you've tried to change a project, maybe you've tried to work with a different manager, maybe you're trying for a switch, maybe you are thinking that maybe if I hanged out with my colleagues more, maybe I don't have enough connections at my workplace. So you have done some changes here and there. That also signifies that you are somewhere aware that something is not really fitting right. You are aware that whatever is happening right now, it's not how I want things to go, right? So that's another point. Another thing is when you have this consistent inner voice that keeps telling you that something is not right and something is not right, and you are not able to put a pin on it, but it's there. Like, you can, if somebody asks you how your career is going, you will not necessarily tell them that it's great. You are aware that it's not great, but you have still not put a finger on it. I would still count it as some form of awareness that something is not right. Now, let's talk about invisible signs that you are actually dissatisfied in your career, but you haven't identified it yet. The first most visible sign is consistent procrastination. When you're constantly struggling with, I'm unable to complete the tasks on my plate, or I'm unable to complete the tasks at hand, and you had tried everything logically. You have tried designing a timetable, you have tried taking help, you have tried to make things interesting, you have tried waking up early, you have tried basically anything that uh, anybody who has a procrastination problem would solve. But in reality, procrastination is not really a time management problem, and I have a whole ass live event on it, so please go watch it if you're struggling with procrastination. Procrastination is a deeper issue. It's an alignment issue. When you're not really aligned with what you're doing, procrastination is how it manifests in real life. So when you're consistently struggling with procrastination, it could be because you don't actually want to do what you're doing, right? It's because somewhere it's just easier to while away time, even though there might be guilt attached to it, than actually do the work. Like, I have had clients who have told me that, Rianshi, I'm aware that I am whiling away my time. I'm aware that this is not something I should be doing, but yet I would rather scroll on my phone than go do my work. Or I would rather, waste my time outside doing something or the other than do my work. Right? That's a very big red flag. It means that something is not sitting right. And that does not mean that you have a time management problem. That simply means that there's lack of alignment, right? And lack of alignment happens when the dissatisfaction is in the beginning stages, when you are forming that, or you're understanding that idea that I'm not really happy with what is happening. The second thing is lack of interest, right? Like, you are consistently losing interest in your job or your business, whatever you're doing. You're consistently losing interest in your day-to-day activities, and you just see yourself just mentally checking out, or you see yourself avoiding going to work, or you see yourself avoiding talking about work, right? So there's this loss of interest, right? You just don't want to even look at it, right? So there could also be that you are trying to avoid that topic altogether, right? The third is when you feel lack of purpose, right? When you wake up in the morning, essentially when you are aligned with what you're doing, there's going to be a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning that you're going to feel every single day. If not every single day, at least most days. Now, I don't mean excitement. I don't mean that you're going to wake up every single day woohoo. I'm talking about that you want to go to work, you want to have a structured day, right? When you constantly feel that there is no meaning to what I'm doing, there's this, I don't really understand why I'm doing this and stuff like that. When there's a chatter, it means that you've lost meaning in what you're doing. That also signals career dissatisfaction. Other is coping mechanisms. Now, you must have seen some people, right, who often will tell you that the best part of my work is ending it, or the best part of my work is the weekend, the best part of my work is going out for smoking breaks, and yada yada. So if you have developed coping mechanisms like smoking, drinking, or any recreational drugs, or anything that you're addicted to, right? Any kind of addiction, it means, like, first of all, addiction is a coping mechanism. Now, again, I'm not going to go into that topic, it's a whole other thing, maybe we'll discuss it sometime else. But when you are consistently struggling with coping mechanisms, right, and it starts, or it started around the time you started working, or something changed in work and that's when it started. It it is it is a invitation to look within as to what has really happened at work for me to indulge into that. A lot of people start, a lot of addictions to escape the dissatisfaction they're feeling at work, but they haven't really accepted or realized it yet, right? Another is when you're constantly having to push yourself, like every single day you have to do this motivational speech to yourself that no, 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 this is important. I have to push myself. I have to do this. So when it's like pushing a boulder up a hill and your goals are not really pulling you, your goals are not really telling you that, you know what, you should be waking up, right? It means that there is dissatisfaction. It means that something that you're doing is not working for you. It's not aligning with you, right? See, it's okay to sometimes give yourself a pep talk, but if every single day is that, every single day is, oh my God, I have to push so hard to go to my job, or I have to push so hard to go to my work, then something is not right, right? Which means that somewhere you are dissatisfied, right? And second is when you don't actually have any plan or any vision to grow or evolve wherever you are, in whatever role you are, right? So if somebody asks you that what are your plans, you don't really have a clear answer to it, or you don't want to think about it, or you, the thought doesn't really come to you. You know, when you are in an aligned career path, you think about growth, you think about this is how I want my next 5 years to be, or 3 years to be, or even 1 year to be. When that is not even crossing your mind, it means that again there is career dissatisfaction, but you haven't come to a stage where you are aware about it. So all the last 4 to 5 things that I've spoken about, these are signs of dissatisfaction that are manifesting, but you're not really aware, right? Now let's talk about how can career dissatisfaction look like in stages, right? Before I do, I will just quickly check my internet again because I think it glitched for a moment. Okay, it looks okay here. I don't know. All right. Now, how does career dissatisfaction really grow, right? Now, the first stage of career dissatisfaction is you having thoughts, right? Thoughts here and there that, you know what, I'm not really happy, or I'm not really satisfied. Something is not, looking right. Now, again, this will not be very dramatic. Okay, it can be something as simple as that. Maybe you've suddenly come across a new information, maybe an alternate career path, or maybe a side hustle, or anything, and you start to feel that okay, um, maybe I'm not really happy with where I am, or maybe there's a new project that you want to do but you haven't gotten that, or maybe it's a change in environment, whatever it is, right? It starts with some thoughts like this, right? At this stage, you can't really conclude if you're really dissatisfied with your career, or maybe it's just a normal, what do you call it, pace of life where something has happened that you don't really like, right? It's a part and parcel of life. Now, when it goes to the second stage, when your thoughts and feelings have started to affect your day-to-day life, like you have started to really question things, where these feelings come in again and again, that what am I doing, or I don't really want to do this, or I feel stuck, or this is random thoughts and feelings that just come as a wave, that I don't really want to do this. It means that it has started to grow into a dissatisfaction phase. The last stage of career dissatisfaction is when you have started to experience strong feelings like anger, resentment, or you're procrastinating, or you're feeling sad for no reason at work, or you just feel kind of depressed, or you feel sorrow, or you feel irritated, right? When it has started to become it has started to manifest as strong feelings, it means that career dissatisfaction has now grown to a level where you really need to pay attention to it. Now I will tell you something, as a professional coach. Anytime your career dissatisfaction reach to stage 2, which means that feelings are coming, thoughts are coming, you need to address it right there and then before it becomes a problem. um, Unfortunately, usually people take help when things have gone to a level where it's hard to come back from. I recommend don't do that, because see, even in my profession, in my own clientele, I'll tell you, people approach me when things have really gone bad, right? Where when they are stuck to a point where they feel like, oh my God, it's so hard to come back from. Now, of course, we work together, they make amazing growth and all of that stuff, and it always works out. But something I always tell my clients whenever we conclude our containers and everything is that please don't wait for things to get worse before you take help. Okay, there's nothing to prove. Okay, there's nothing to prove. You are achieving nothing by struggling in your career. You're achieving nothing by saying that I will do it alone. Just take help and move on. Okay, you will progress much faster. And if you're ever in doubt, uh, you know like go and explore my testimonials that I've posted so many times from my clients, and something that you will consistently see is that like people achieve things faster when they're taking help, and it takes a lot more time, um, time, expense, and energy when you don't acknowledge the problems that you are experiencing, right? So if you feel that you are somewhere experiencing career dissatisfaction, just solve it and move on. Okay, it doesn't go away on its own. Now, coming back to what could be the types of dissatisfaction that you could be experiencing, right? Which means that what could be the reason that you are feeling dissatisfied, or what could be the reason people usually do feel dissatisfied? Now, the first one is lack of alignment with natural strength. So, for example, let's say that you are somebody who is a very empathetic person, and you're very creative, and you are somebody who's in very touch with their emotions, right? So you find that flowing with your emotions, working with your emotions, and working from place of creativity is a natural strength. And you are in a career that involves hard numbers, right? That involves using just pure hard logic, and there is no space for emotions whatsoever. Or maybe you are in a job where it's just all admin work, right? Now it is going to come to a point wherein I mean the fact is that you're not using your natural strengths, right? And when you're not using your natural strengths, it means that you have to put in double the amount of effort to become good at something, because it is easier to become good at something that you're naturally good at, right? For example, let's say you are somebody who is creative and you're in a creative career. It'll be easy for you to excel in there because it comes so naturally to you, right? For example, when I was working in human resources, because that was a job I did before I became a coach. It was hard for me to work there because a lot of the work was admin. But when I became a coach, it was very easy for me to excel at it. It was very easy for me to pick up things because it aligned with my high EQ. It aligned with the fact that I'm good with emotions, I'm good with decoding patterns, I'm good with understanding human behavior, right? So when something does not align with your natural strengths, there comes a point where you start feeling dissatisfied with it, especially if your natural strengths are not being used in other places. For example, let's say if your life just consists of your career, and your natural strengths are not being used anywhere else, like in your hobby or whatever, right? Then career dissatisfaction will grow, because whatever you're naturally good at, you're not really using it, right? um, your career demands you to develop skill set that is very opposite to or very different to your natural strengths. So that is not a very talked about topic, but this is something that I've seen consistently in people, that this is the reason why people feel start to feel very dissatisfied, that their career demands skill set that they don't naturally feel aligned with, or they are not naturally good at. For example, let's say if I decided that I have to do let's say I have to work in tech. Okay. Now, if I work very, very hard, sure, I may be able to get an entry level job, or sure, I may be able to get a degree and stuff like that. But the amount of work that I will have to put in to go into tech is going to be 10 times harder than the amount of work I've had to put in my coaching career for the same results, right? I may even make less money there. I may even experience less success there. Why? Because I'm going against my core nature, right? My core nature is that I'm emotionally intelligent, I'm good with emotions, I'm good with decoding patterns, I'm good with human behavior. So whenever I align my natural strength to a career path I'm choosing, it'll be very easy for me to succeed in. And that is why, when you choose a career path, you don't just choose it from a place of which industry is making the most amount of money, or what is trending. Because you may choose it for initial few years of your life, but you have to understand that the more you age, right, and the more your ambition is, the more you want to really succeed in your career, the more you're going to have to align your career path with what you're naturally good at, because only then you will become exceptional at it, right? Because to create exceptional success, you need to be really good at something, right? And you can only be good at something when you are when it is aligning with your natural nature. Like people who choose career paths that aligns with their core nature find it easy to succeed, and that's just a fact, right? Now, coming to the next possibility of why you could be dissatisfied. If you don't find any meaning or any fulfillment in what you're doing, right, in the work that you're doing, or you find it meaningless, you find it that this doesn't create any difference, or you don't find it meaningful, then again, it can be a recipe for career dissatisfaction. Now, it doesn't mean that you always have to work in social sector. Okay, meaning does not mean that. I know people who are competitive coders who find a lot of meaning in what they do. right? Who love what they do, or who are very passionate about what they do. I also know people who work in finance. I also know people who work in different sectors, who find a lot of meaning in what they do, right? So finding meaning does not just mean that it has to be, oh, I will go work in an NGO and stuff like that. It could just mean that you actually find whatever you're doing meaningful. For example, I know somebody who's a brilliant sketch artist, and they find a lot of meaning in what they do, right? They're very passionate about it and they find it meaningful. So it does not matter what you do, right? Meaningful does not mean, or does not mean that you have to go and essentially help someone only. It could be that you find your work very passionate, you find your work very meaningful, right? Like whatever you're doing, you find fulfillment in it, you feel fulfilled. Now, the next is financial ambition. Now, whatever your financial ambition is in life, right? What is financial ambition? Whatever, like, let's say in layman terms, whatever the amount of money that you would like to make in your life, either long term, let's say there's a retirement corpus you have in mind, or maybe on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, however you like to look at your finances, okay? So when your financial ambition is not satisfied with the career path you are in, again, career dissatisfaction happens very, very fast here. In fact, one of the reasons why people feel dissatisfied in their career is because they feel that they're not being paid well, or they're not making enough money. Because, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. The one of the most primary reasons why we pursue our careers is to make money, because, I mean, we have to survive in this world, right? So when your financial ambition is not aligning with the chosen career path, it can create a lot of career dissatisfaction. For example, there's somebody I know, they're a client of mine. They worked in social sector and it never really paid them well, right? So they did feel dissatisfied about it. I also had a client who ran an NGO, and, I mean, social sector is, again, right, it's grossly underpaid. So that client of mine could never meet their own needs, right? They had to keep on depending on their parents, and that brought a lot of pain and resentment inside of them, because they thought that they never really anticipated something like this would happen, right? So when your financial ambition not being fulfilled in whatever career path you are on right now, it can also feel like this. It can also feel that, I'm very dissatisfied with it. The next point, and which is a very, very important one, but a lot of people don't take into account, is when your career path does not align with your life goals. Now, what do I mean by this? Okay, so see, growing up, we all have a certain idea of the kind of life we want to live, right? And as we age, that idea takes shape, it takes form, it gets modified and everything, right? For example, let's say maybe growing up you thought that I'm going to work a hotshot corporate job, but let's say when you hit the age of 25, 26, you realize that, you know what, I think I'll prefer working from home. But I want to make a lot of money. Maybe by 30 you realize that, you know what, I'm getting married or I'm about to have a kid, so I want a workplace which does not keep me away from my family for a long time. Or let's say you are about to have a child and you don't want a job that is transferable or keeps you away from your kid. Or maybe your job involves traveling a lot and your partner cannot travel with you because they work somewhere else. So I'm talking about real life happening, okay? When your career path does not align with your life goals, that can create a huge amount of resentment, right? When your career starts to stand in the way of your life goals, it can feel very confusing, right? Because let's say you don't want to work 9 hours a day, right? But that is the career you chose, right? So you can develop a lot of resentment around it. You can develop a lot of hate around it, that why do I have to stay away from my family, why do I have to stay away from my kid, why do I have to stay away from my partner, why do I have to stay away from my parents, whatever, right? So when you have a certain life goal, that, you know what, this is the kind of life I imagine for myself, like I want to work, let's say, not more than 5 hours a day, or I want to work from home, or I want to run a business, I want to be my own boss, or I want to make a certain amount of money, or I want to work in a certain part of the country, whatever, right? These are life goals. When your career does not align with your life goals, it can create a lot of resentment, it can create a lot of career dissatisfaction. In fact, it can also manifest as resistances in other areas of your life. So this is a very less talked about topic, and this is one of the things that we are going to talk about in the masterclass that we are doing from 13th to 15th of March, called Unblocked. Because there are a lot of things that people don't really teach. I mean, nobody teaches us how to form a career. Nobody teaches us that there is a career path you have to learn to design, right? And your career is not just choosing a degree, choosing the job that pays you the most. It also takes into account, what do you want from your life, right? Maybe at 21 you wanted a highest paying job. Maybe at 31 you want a job that does not stress you out, right? Maybe at 35 you want a job where you can work from home. Maybe at 40 you don't want to work at all for someone, maybe you want to have a business. So you change as a person. And when you don't change your career blueprint, dissatisfaction is going to be a norm. And that is why a lot of people experience, midlife crisis, or they experience this identity crisis around 30s and 40s, because they realize that their life looks like nothing that they want to live or they imagine as, right? So, if you're somebody who does not know how to design your career, or you want to learn how to design your career and don't want to face that, again, you're very welcome to join us for the 3-day masterclass. And not just the masterclass, I really want you to think about it. Like, are your life goals really aligning with your career goals? Because your career is a part of your life, it's not your entire life. You can't mold your entire life according to your career, but you can mold your career according to your life goals. But you have to be clear about it, right? Okay. The next form of dissatisfaction can happen from environment. Maybe the environment at your workplace has become toxic, maybe the culture is not right, maybe the fact that you have to commute so long for work is creating a lot of anger or resentment. Or maybe the environment in your at your workplace is not conducive, right? There's a lot of there's a lot of mismanagement, micromanagement, and there's a lot of cold wars happening, so that creates a lot of rift inside you. Or maybe you have a toxic boss or toxic manager, or bad colleagues, whatever, right? This is related to culture, right? Environment in which you are working, both inside the office as well as outside the office, which means that if, let's say, you live like 20 kilometers away from your work, right? You can travel for 6 months. After 6 months, you're going to reach a point where you're just exhausted and you start to feel this tiredness and exhaustion in you, right? Or let's say you have a difficult manager, you can deal with them for a few months, but after that he gets on your nerves, right? So career dissatisfaction can happen from there also. So there are many reasons. These are reasons that I'm telling you that just seem to be something that repeats a lot, something that I've seen in my clients, something that I've helped my clients with, right? However, there could also be other reasons you may feel that my career is not really aligning, or that I feel dissatisfied, right? It could be that there's a significant change that is happening in your life. Let's say you're moving countries, or you are moving in with your partner to a different place, or maybe you're about to have a kid, maybe somebody in your family is sick and there's no flexibility at work. There could be many reasons. I mean, this comes under life goals only, or lifestyle. But the point is that anything can make you feel dissatisfied in your career, and any reason is valid. It's okay. It's important that you acknowledge your emotions, because emotions is how your body communicates with you. It communicates its truth with you, right? Now let's talk about, why does dissatisfaction keep on growing, right? What leads to dissatisfaction, and what leads to the dissatisfaction not getting resolved, and it becoming a big issue, it leading to a point where you either just want to quit, or you're just so sick of your work that you have started to burn out, or you may get even laid off because your performance is going down. Basically, it has gotten worse, right? So what could be the reason behind that? Okay, let's see if we have any questions. Okay, we don't have any question as of yet. Okay, so we will carry on. Wait, what's happening? Okay, let's go ahead. Now, common reasons why dissatisfaction grows, right? The most common reason, and the most common, I would say, the most common thing that I've seen repeat across all ages is lack of clarity, right? Lack of clarity as to why am I even dissatisfied, or lack of clarity in what do you actually want in your life or in your career, to be specific, right? A lot of people don't really design a career path for themselves. They just chase the next financial goal, or they just chase that, what, it's paying more, let me just get that job. Or they just look at, it's going to satisfy some temporary void that I have, so I'll just take up that, right? So a lot of people just go by that. They go from their um, emotional urgency rather than a proper career plan, right? And because of that, what starts to happen is that you start to feel foggy. You start to feel that, okay, I'm dissatisfied, but I made the choice, so why am I dissatisfied? This loop can happen, right? Now, I want to take this a step further, okay? One thing that I often do with my clients is that we just don't go into surface level talk therapy. We don't do that, that, okay, we will just talk about you have lack of clarity. I take my clients a step further where I ask them, I want you to ask yourself, why do you lack clarity? Okay, because this is a very important question. Because if we don't address this question, few months down the line, few years down the line, you will come to the same problem where you will start you will where you will create lack of clarity again, right? Now, the most common or the most obvious thing that could be the reason that you have lack of clarity is that maybe you've never really researched, or maybe you have never really thought about things, or maybe you have never nobody has ever really told you that there are paths that exist for you. However, in my professional experience, these reasons are very, very, very rare. The reason why people tend to lack clarity in their career paths is, first, they never really had the chance, right, to have space in their life growing up. Most people who lack clarity in their career paths were people who started to pursue their career as a way to survive a difficult emotion, as a way to escape a difficult emotion, right? When you tie your self-worth to your career, when you tie your self-worth to the amount of money you are making, when you're just chasing your career because you're running away from something, right? It could be some childhood trauma, it could be some pain, it could be situations at home. When you're running away from something and you start to find your anchor in your career, then your career becomes it becomes a life jacket. It is not a career anymore, it is a way to save you, right? So you don't plan your career, it's an emotional lifeboat for you. A lot of people who lack clarity in their career tend to experience this pattern again and again, where their career is their life jacket. Maybe they're afraid of what their parents will think if they don't work, or they're chasing money, or they just want to get a job so that nobody looks down on them anymore, or they feel that they're worthless if they're not making money, or they feel like, if I don't work, I will be left behind, whatever the reason is, right? And maybe you started your life like that, maybe in your early 20s, and that's fine, it's okay. But if you're still continuing that, if your self-worth is still tied to output, if your self-worth is still tied to your career, if your self-worth is still tied to the money you're making, if you're still afraid of judgment and stuff like that, when when your career is still an emotional urgency lifeboat, right, wherein you're trying to run from something, and you just jump onto your career thinking that it will solve something, then it is a loop you're stuck in. It is a trauma. It is a trauma bond that you're stuck in within yourself, with yourself, right? It is a traumatic pattern you're stuck in, right? That would be the more accurate word. So you look at your career not as a career, right? You look at it as a way of saving yourself, right? A lot of people throw themselves into their career when their relationships are not going well, or things that are not good at home, or they think that if I do this I will make my parents proud, or if I do this, finally I will be accepted, I will be respected. There are multiple, as I said, right, multiple voids people try to fill in. When this is the reason, you lack clarity. Why? Because you're not thinking about building a career. You are thinking about, how do I soothe my anxiety? How do I soothe my pain? What can I do in my career so that I stop feeling like I'm not enough? Right? And this continues forever, because you have to understand that this lack of enoughness, right, this lack of self-worth that you feel, your career will never ever fulfill that, because your career is not responsible for it. It is an unhealed childhood trauma that you need to work on, right? It is a wounded inner child that's living inside of you, right, who is convinced, right, and who was probably convinced by people around him, right, that if I lean on to and clutch onto my career, this pain will one day end. It does not. And this requires deep inner work, this requires trauma healing work. So stop trying to look at your career as a way to heal something that hurts here, right? Don't think that your lack of self-worth, your anxiety, your self-esteem that you've tried with, success, money, whatever, is going to soothe or it's going to heal if you become more successful in your career. It will not. It will make yourself, it will burn you out, it will make you chase goals that you don't like chasing, it will make you miserable every single year, right? Because you are chasing enoughness, right? And enoughness comes from within. Enoughness is not something that can come from a career. Your career is a way you contribute to the world. It is not a way that you soothe your anxiety, right? So when that is the case, then lack of clarity becomes a very normal thing, because you have never had the space in your life to think about what you want, right? Now lack of space could be because you grew up in a volatile environment, because let's say nothing was ever stable in your house. Maybe your parents put a lot of expectations on you, or they never gave you the space to think about what you wanted in your career. They put their expectations on what they wanted from you, whatever, right? Whatever constituted to lack of space, right? Maybe you were constantly compared, you were constantly criticized. The point is that you looked at your career as a way that it will soothe something, it will fill a void, not that this is how I would like to contribute to the world. When that is the case, lack of clarity is bound to happen, because lack of clarity is when I don't give space to myself. I don't give space to myself, because that is what I've learned as a child, that my needs don't matter, what I want does not matter, or what I think or feel is not important, right? Just give me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Now, coming to the next point, right? After lack of clarity, let's say you do have clarity, okay? You do have clarity that this is where I'm dissatisfied in, or that this is what I want. The second is lack of self belief to actually accept the reality of the situation, right? What do I mean by this? A lot of people tend to, around the age of 20s or 30s, start to realize that, okay, maybe there are parts of my career that I'm not happy with, I'm dissatisfied with, and it needs to change. But you lack self belief inside of you that you will actually be able to change it. So as a result, you may gaslight yourself into believing, हो ही नहीं सकता है ये, this is impossible, this will never be possible, or this is unrealistic, this is impractical, I'm being too dramatic. Or my favorite excuse that I have helped a lot of my clients with is, I'm giving up too easily, I'm giving up, I'm not working hard enough, and yada yada. So basically, instead of working on your self belief, you talk yourself out of your own truth, right? It's like you're in an ice cream shop, and you were given blackcurrant, right? And you have been eating blackcurrant, year after year. And one day you realize that, you know what, I actually don't like blackcurrant, maybe I like chocolate ice cream, and I would like to try it, I would like to eat it. But you talk yourself out of it. You start to think that, no, 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 chocolate ice cream is bad, this will happen, that will happen, let's stick to blackcurrant only, everybody is eating blackcurrant. So either you will villainize your dreams, you may villainize chocolate ice cream, you may gaslight yourself into believing that, no, 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 everybody is eating blackcurrant, so why am I so special, right? Basically, you will convince yourself that what your truth is not valid, right? You will shrink yourself, you will make yourself believe that no other way exists, no other path exists, right? So lack of self belief to accept your reality is also when people give up, when they realize that, okay, I'm not actually at a place in my career where I want to be, right? And this was also a result of unhealed childhood trauma. I just want to mention that if you have not attended my 4-day boot camp on healing childhood trauma, please do so. I've spoken about in depth there, and if you watch that, you will be able to understand a lot of points here today also. See, lack of self belief starts at home, okay? You learn to believe in yourself the through the relationship you have shared with your parents. When you are born into the world as a baby, the only thing you know is that I can ask for my needs if I cry. As you grow up, you learn words. As you grow up, you learn through the way your environment interacts with you. And in here, environment means specifically your parents, your primary caregivers. It makes you understand whether you're important or not. It makes you understand whether you should believe in yourself or not. So when you had a traumatic childhood where your parents did not believe in you, where your parents criticized you or looked down on you, or their love was not conditional and consistent with you, when these are the things that happen with you, then you have a very shaky self belief, which means that you don't believe in yourself that you will be able to achieve whatever you're putting your mind to, right? Pessimism comes easily to you, doubting yourself comes easily to you, right? When these are the things that you struggle with, then it is very likely that you will question your truth a lot. Like when your body is telling you that, you know what, I don't like it, you don't accept that. You doubt yourself, you convince yourself, or you think that, who am I to think that I can like something else, right? So all of these are old wounds. These are not a result of that it will go away when you motivate yourself. These are inner child wounds that you need to do deep inner work on. right? And I help my clients with this all the time. If you ever need my help, you can always reach out to me. You can also work with someone else, but please work on it. Okay, don't gaslight yourself into believing into changing your own mind. If you don't like blackcurrant ice cream, you don't like blackcurrant ice cream. You don't owe any justification to anybody, right? Similarly, wherever you are in your career, if you don't like something, you don't like something. You don't owe any justification to anyone, not even to your own inner critic, not even to yourself, right? Build a relationship with yourself so strong that if you say something, you believe, right? Your relationship with yourself is going to be an exact mirror of the relationship you shared with your parents, right? Again, I will not get into a lot of detail. I have already covered that in the 4-day boot camp I did on healing childhood trauma. Please go and watch it. You will have a lot of understanding about who you are and your patterns. But the point is that when you lack self-belief, you waste a lot of time convincing, believing other people, not believing yourself, and chasing other things, chasing things outside of you instead of just sitting with yourself, just acknowledging your truth, right? Now, coming to the third reason, I'll just check my internet again. Okay, we have a question: how to deal with misalignment due to miscommunication. Okay, so this is not a complete question. So I have two more questions if you can answer here since you've asked. One is miscommunication with whom? Okay, and misalignment in what? You have to complete this, because when you say misalignment due to miscommunication, this is a very broad and a very generic thing to say. You can have a miscommunication with anybody, and as a result of it, misalignment can happen with anything. So please specify if it is something that you're talking about in your case, because that also matters. Second, who are you talking about when you say miscommunication, and misalignment in what? So please complete the question. Okay, I don't think we have any other question. Okay, let's move ahead. Now, the third reason is lack of confidence to actually act on the dissatisfaction. Now, in the second part, we covered the lack of self belief, which means here you are not ready to believe in yourself. Third is that, let's say you even come to a point where you believe in yourself, you lack the confidence to act on it. You lack the confidence to actually, think about a career change or a career pivot, or even starting whatever it is that you want to start. Right? The confidence is not there. And again, lack of confidence is very deeply related to lack of self belief, and that is something that is developed in your childhood. Okay, confidence is something that is a result of the relationship you share with yourself. Confidence does not come from achievements. Confidence does not come from how old you are in age. Confidence does not come from any of that. Confidence comes from your relationship with yourself. The more secure, the more loving, unconditionally supportive relationship you have with yourself, the more confident you will be. The more confident you will be, the more of an action taker you will be, right? It is very hard to not be an action taker if you're naturally confident. And I'm saying naturally confident, I'm not talking about loud people, I'm not talking about fake confidence, I'm not talking about people who like to toot their own horn. I'm not talking about all of that. Those are insecure people. I'm talking about natural confidence. When you naturally believe in yourself, it is very hard to not take action. Do you know why? Because you have a high self-worth, and people who have high self-worth, they believe that they deserve good things. And when you believe deeply that you deserve good things, you take action on it, right? So when you lack confidence to act on your career dissatisfaction, that also keeps you in that cycle of staying stuck, that keeps you in that cycle of, I'm dissatisfied but I'm still not doing anything about it. And for this, again, you need to do deep inner work. You need to really, and this means that you're not just talking, right? For example, when I'm working with my clients around confidence, around self-worth, we're not just talking. We're doing deep inner work, we're doing trauma work. We are actually going back to all the moments in their life where this disbelief, this lack of confidence started to form, because those are your inner children, the ones that live inside you, right? Those are the wounds that you keep on battling with. Those don't leave your body. That is where some pain, even though years have passed, still feel fresh, because those are inner child wounds that you're still carrying, right? And trauma lives in the body. It does not go away, right? It is only something that you can heal. And when it heals, you have space in your body. When you have space in your body, you can actually think about yourself and not the pain that you're carrying, right? Or the last reason that the dissatisfaction may keep you stuck is when you are stuck in survival mode. As I said, that a lot of people start their careers, specifically the people who find themselves stuck later on, they start their career from place of survival mode. Now that is okay. Okay, that is okay. Why? Because we live in a third world country. There is a lot of there's a lot of pain and there's a lot of struggle in the histories of a lot of our families. There's been partition trauma. A lot of your parents must have seen a lot of struggle, so it is okay to come from that place. What is not okay is that if you stay in that place, right? If you're still stuck in survival mode in your career. Now what do I mean by survival mode? You are always scared, you're always anxious, something bad will happen, you will lose your job, or you're afraid to level up, you're afraid to speak up, you're still afraid of authority figures, you're still afraid to ask for what you deserve, ask for the money that you want. When survival mode is that when you're not thriving, you're surviving, right? Your body is always in this alert mode. When that is the case, right, you're bound to stay stuck in your career because you're not thinking about growth, you're just thinking about survival. You can't grow and survive at the same time. Growth happens when you're done being in survival mode, right? So again, that is also a result of unhealed childhood trauma, because the thing is that whatever problems you experience as an adult, you're able to resolve. The problems that you're not able to resolve are the ones that you experienced as a child, because you did not have the resources to deal with it. And what happened in that moment is that the pain that you experienced, you absorbed all of it and it became a trauma wound, right? So when if you're stuck in survival mode, it is because there is still somewhere inside of you that you feel incapable, and that's not coming from the adult version of you, that is coming from a younger version of you. So your job is to reach out to that version, develop a relationship with that version, heal the pain of that version, that younger version of yourself, and let it go, right? And that is what happens in systemic work, which is what I do with my clients in my one-on-one trauma coaching container too. So it's very very important that you acknowledge what is the reason that is stopping you. It is very rarely the economy. It is very rarely, because see, no matter what economy is, somebody is always making money, somebody is always succeeding, somebody is always progressing, right? And everybody goes through phases. But if you are always stuck, right, if despite knowing that you deserve better, if despite knowing that, you know what, I'm not really happy, if you're still unable to take action, it's because there are versions inside of you that feels unable to, that feels incapable. Your job is not to criticize yourself, your job is to get in touch with that version and heal the pain, right? Now how do you actually resolve it? Now the very first step of resolving career dissatisfaction is to acknowledge it. This is a very big turning point. A lot of people distract themselves from it. They think that I will take a vacation, it will go away. They think I will switch my company, it will go away. They think I will hang out with my friends, it will go away. They think I will smoke and drink, it will go away. It does not go away, right? Acknowledge your truth, no matter how difficult or how impossible it may seem. Just acknowledge it. If you're not happy, if you're dissatisfied, just say it, that I am. When you acknowledge it, what will happen is that something will shift internally, right? There will be two paths that you can take, right? One is that I'm dissatisfied and I want to do something about it. Second is I'm dissatisfied but I will not do anything about it, right? In both the cases, you will have complete clarity on what is the life you're signing up for, which is very very important. The only people who develop regret later on or get into the victim mentality that, oh my god, life was so unfair to me, are the ones who don't acknowledge the truth, right? Everything is a trade-off in life, right? Whatever you choose, there is a price you pay for it. So if despite experiencing dissatisfaction in your career, if you want to do nothing about it, it is okay. But accept it, that this is what I'm choosing. When you accept it, you will never feel like a victim of circumstances. And if you are dissatisfied and you want to do something about it, you do something about it, which is what we're going to talk about. The next thing is gain clarity on what you actually want from your career. And for this, you are again very welcome to join us inside the 3-day masterclass I'm doing from 13th to 15th, because therein we are going to understand how to design a career for yourself in depth. So gain clarity on what you actually want. Now, for some of you, you may not know at all what you want. For some of you, you may have some idea. For some of you, you are very clear with what you want. So become hyper specific. Not I want to change the world, I want to do this. Be specific. Is there a certain role you have in mind? Is there a certain profession you have in mind? Is there a certain kind of switch? Is there a certain kind of work that you have in mind that you want to do, right? Now, the third thing is identify the information resource and identity gap. Now, what do I mean by this? Now, let's say you have come to realize that maybe you would like to transition to a creative career. Now, identify the gap, identify what do I need to do to transition into this particular career. Do I need to skill up? Do I need to take a course? Do I need to take a degree? Do I need to connect with people? Do I need to get mentored? What do I need? So close the information gap, right? Second is skill gap, right? Whatever skill set you need to develop, close the skill set gap. Third, and the most important gap that most people miss, is the identity gap. Who do I need to become to go after this? A lot of people research, a lot of people find out this is the course I need to do, this is what I need to do, but they stop right there. Do you know why? Because deep down they're still struggling with their lack of self-belief and lack of confidence. It's their lack of expansion in their identity that stops them from expanding. And identity expansion is done through inner work. Identity expansion is done when you go within, not when you go outside. So ask yourself, what is really stopping me from acting on whatever information that I have? Is it my lack of belief? Is it my fear of failure? Is it my pessimism? Is it that I don't really believe I'll be able to do it? Whatever it is, right? And do the inner work around it, because that is how you will truly close all the gaps, right? Now, the next point, and again, very important, is put a date to it. Put a date by which you will complete the transition or at least start the transition. Right now, again, transition doesn't mean that you are changing the industry only or you're changing everything about it. It could also mean that you may be starting a side hustle. It could also mean that you're going for a promotion. It could also mean that you're changing teams or you're taking a lateral shift, whatever. Right? Put a date to it, that by this month or by this date, I will have I will have spoken to this person, I will have enrolled in this course, I will have started my inner work, I will have make sure that I've done these many interviews. Put a date to everything, right? And the last point is take as much help as you need and as you want. It is very hard to build a career completely on your own, because again, you don't know everything, right? And that's the most helpful realization that you will ever integrate within yourself, that you don't know everything. So take as much as help as you need. You need mentors, seek out mentors. You need to do your inner work, seek out trauma informed coaches. You need more information, seek out industry experts, talk to your friends. Whatever amount of help you need, take it. Make your life easy, make your life simple, make your path simple. There is no glory, there is no pride in living a hard life, there is no pride in living a struggling life. That's the fake pride that you have because of unhealed trauma wounds. Make your career transitions or your career growth as stupidly simple as you can. Take as much help as you can, because you know what, people in the end always look at output. It's the output that counts, not oh my god, I did so much struggle. Nobody looks at that. Okay, even you will not care about it. What you will care about it is that I got what I wanted. So make it easy for yourself, right? Take the simplest path, take the shortest path, and take the path with the most amount of softness. And that happens when you take as much as help as you want, right? Okay, that is it for today. I will see if we have any more questions. Okay, so we have a follow question: miscommunication with colleagues. All right, so when you have miscommunication with colleagues, the best thing to do is to actually see what is the level of miscommunication you are dealing with first, right? So miscommunication is also of different types, right? One is that there's a problem of tone. Second is that there is a problem that um, you and your colleague are always on different pages. Maybe the communication is not happening on time regarding work. You have to first define what is the miscommunication you're talking about. Is it a one-to-one personal thing, meaning that you said something that your colleague took offense with, or that maybe that um, you both are not on the same page around how the work process is going. Based on that, you create a system. It is easy to communicate where there is a system, right? Second is, if it is a personal grudge, again, lean into conflict resolutions. And I think this is a great topic. I will create a live on it properly, how to actually deal with communication issues at workplace. But something that you can do is that if it is a personal thing, go and talk to the concerned person about it. If it is work related, create a system wherein it's easy to communicate with your colleagues. And third is, if it is something that you have tried and nothing is working out at all, then you have to become creative, right? You have to learn to become not emotionally attached to this situation, right? Which is going to be more internal work, right? So identify where exactly miscommunication is happening. Now the second you have said is that misalignment with overall goal of the organization and personal goals. So this means that what you want is not aligning with what your organization wants. So again, the answer here is very simple. The first is, have you communicated to the stakeholders that you're working with as to what you want? And is there a scope of any wiggle room? Which means that, can your organization and your personal goals both meet halfway, whatever your personal goals are, right? That's the first thing to find out, right? If there is, then great, create it. If it's a complete no, then you have to ask yourself, am I okay with sacrificing my personal goals for the organization goals? If the answer is absolutely no, then it's time that you start thinking about what can you do about it, in terms of, let's say, switching the company or switching the team, switching the project, whatever. If you are okay with sacrificing your personal goals for a short amount of time for whatever reason, then again, you become okay with it. Everything is a trade off, as I said, right? So you have to really ask yourself, what are my personal goals, what are the organization goals, and is there a wiggle room, right? Have I communicated to people what I really want, and have I communicated as to how they can also help me create it, right? Think about how you can meet your personal goals along with your organization goals. Be creative about it. And again, if at all you cannot, you have done everything, you've communicated it, you have tried it, there's no wiggle room, then you think about, switching, or then you think about transitioning to a different space. Sometimes the answer is just asking yourself, have I really asked for what I want? Have I really expressed for to what I want clearly, directly? Not in a hinting way, not in a way that I expressed it indirectly, but clearly, right? The more clear we are in our communication as to what we want, the more direct feedback we will get, that either this place will get me that or this place will not get me that. So it's easy to move on, right? But I think I will do a separate live on communication at workplace, um, probably this week or next week, because I think it's a pretty important topic. Okay, I don't think we have any more questions, so I'm going to bid goodbye for today. Thank you so much for those who joined in. And if at all there is any question that I could not answer, please feel free to reach out, because sometimes it's hard to answer questions through text, and also because it's very difficult for a lot of people to come to the live event at this time or whatever time I do in, because I know you all have pretty full lives. So if there are certain questions, you can always join. First of all, you can join the masterclass WhatsApp group that we have. You can reach out to me there, or you can join my safe space community, which is again another free WhatsApp community I run, and you can get in touch with me there also. And if you're somebody who is looking to learn how to design a career path for yourself, you are welcome to join us for the masterclass, wherein you and I are going to be able to talk properly face to face, and you can ask me as many questions as you want, coming directly from you and not in generic terms. Thank you so much for those who joined in, and thank you so much for those who watched this as a recording too. Bye bye.